This is the story about two individuals who, through their transitions in life, have both ended up at Griffith University. They are two very different individuals in terms of gender, age, and ethno-national identities. Although they are different, they have both made decisions and learned from critical moments in their lives using the reflexive project of self, and have both made the smooth transition to Griffith.
Hello, my name is Maria. I'm 25 years old and I was born and raised in Sweden. When in school, I got to know people that already knew that they were going abroad for their further studies. I kept thinking that it was too expensive and that the applications were really difficult, so I put the idea out of my mind and settled on studying in Sweden. I thought I didn't have the agency to go abroad. After high school, I reflected upon my project of self and thought about my two passions in life, sports and water. I chose to focus on the water part and becoming a coast guard. I moved from home to another part of Sweden to take me down that path. At this point in time, I was an attached leaver. In hindsight, this was a good thing since the Swedish Coast Guard was not taking any new recruits. In retrospect, this entire period was a critical moment in my life, a time where I deeply re-examined my project of self. I went from adolescence to young adulthood. I re-evaluated the meaning of family to also include my friends and boyfriend at the time. This also meant that my meaning of home changed. I ended up moving back to my hometown and moved in with my boyfriend, who I met in my final year of high school. Well, what to do next? I did have that other passion, sports, which has provided a sense of belonging for me. And people have also been telling me my whole life that I should become a teacher. I definitely didn't want a typical 9-to-5 job sitting at a desk. My choice was made. I was going to be a PE teacher, and I applied to the teaching program at the Swedish School of Sports and Health Science. And I finally knew what I would be doing for the next 4 years of my life. During these 4 years, my relationship started to go south, and we eventually split up. This was the biggest critical moment in my life, causing me to really think about what I wanted for myself. And even though I had a strong sense of localism and loved my hometown Stockholm, the concepts of mobility and cosmopolitanism made me revisit the idea of going abroad. I still needed to solve the financial issue of going abroad. I didn't have enough money or agency to only go traveling. I contacted an agency and got help and advice, and on the 15th of February, I was on a plane towards the other side of the globe and headed for Griffith University.
My name is Andrew Cousins. I'm 20 years young and was born here on the Gold Coast. Having lived here most of my life, I have a strong sense of localism as well as social and cultural capital in the area. I graduated from high school in 2011 from TSS. It was in year 11 when I experienced my first critical moment. The night before we were due to return to school, my best friend Wilson took his own life, and his family, who had been like a second one to mine, packed up their home and returned to their native country of Fiji to escape the fast city life. Troubled by all things, my grades dropped at school and I struggled to bring them back up to par by the end of grade 12. Previously, I'd always wanted to study law, but had lost all motivation and had no clear path to follow. At the urgency of my teachers and family, I applied for a Bachelor of Arts here at Griffith University and was accepted. I started in Semester 1, 2012, with little to no expectations or hopes for the semester. However, after a few weeks, I came to realise that I wasn't ready to study again after 12 years of school and was just wasting my own time. Looking back now, I can see that as a person during this time, I was pretty poor. My relationship with my immediate family was strained. Looking to escape the Gold Coast, I made contact with my second family in Fiji and organised to move over to live with them and work at the small backpackers and surf resort that they owned for years. A few days later, I boarded a plane and set off to the islands to try and put things back together. In this sense, I'm lucky to have had a cosmopolitan outlook and the mobility and agency to be able to make this decision. I was a detached leaver, feeling I didn't want to return to the Gold Coast. I had changed to view the Gold Coast as a physical home, and after a few months in Fiji, began to feel it as my psychological home, feeling a strong sense of belonging. By this time, I was effectively estranged from my family. Heading to Fiji, I had little expectations or idea of the work I would be doing, but perhaps suspecting it wouldn't be too hard. Here, living in a different culture, I developed a social capital within the Fijian ethno-national identity, with endless days exploring the reefs and waves of Fiji. I quickly learned a balance between work and play. I could basically do anything I wanted so long as I fulfilled my responsibilities. It is in this sense that here I began to make the transition from youth to adulthood, but not completely. As a keen surfer, I was in paradise and quickly started really pushing myself in the testing conditions. My second critical moment occurred one early morning on a day off. I woke to see the surf absolutely massive and immediately grabbed my board and looked for someone to come out with me. After a few minutes, I got impatient and started the 500-metre paddle to the reef alone. Once I was out there, I quickly realised I was out of my depth and was almost drowned by a rogue set, losing my board in the process. Had it not been for a nearby resorts boat coming past, I may not have made it back in. Looking back, this would be my second critical moment. The experience prompted me to think about things I'd been ignoring, and without realising it, I was using the reflexive project of self to reassess my direction in terms of education and employment. I made contact with my family again and organised to return back to Australia to study at the start of semester 2 in 2013, and here I am now.
As you can see, despite coming from different styles of life, Maria and Andrew have both had to actively shape their lives to end up at Griffith.